I'm the General Secretary to UoG Indian Society. And today, here we have Mr. Abdulla Hassan. He's the CEO of AI Dhow Capital. He drives the Dhow Capital strategy and is involved in all the investment phases, including exploring investment opportunities, evaluating, negotiating, and selecting. Mr. Abdulla has over 17 years of experience in telecommunication and technology. Prior joining to Dhow Capital, Mr. Abdulla served as Business Development Director of British Telecom in MENA region and Zajil Company. He also worked as CEO of Wireless Internet Mobile Data, which is Kuwait's first Wi-Fi operator. Mr. Abdulla serves as board members of several of Dhow Capital investments, including What Three Words, Motifi, Terragens, Think Tracks, and board observer to Appy Parking and Schiller Bikes. So today we are conducting an event which is by Indian Society, and this is on the startup from an investor's point of view. So we go ahead, sir.
So, okay, you got this boring introduction about me, it was all fake, none of it is true. Okay, just ignore that, because sometimes when you get perceptions about people, you set ideas, and setting ideas and judgments about anything and anyone is not really good. Why? Because you kind of prepare your mind to think in a particular way. I don't want you to do that. I want you to attend this with a very open mind and think of yourself as a very free-flowing spirit that has the opportunity to do anything. And when I say anything, I mean, if you decided right now you wanted to fly, you should be able to do that. Right? Human minds were created in such a way that they have no boundaries, none whatsoever. There's no ceiling, there's no floor. Everything that you think is up to you how far you wish to take it. Across what you think, it is up to you how you wish to decide with it and move on. Most people, common people, get a challenge, move sideways, sidestep, and they're off. You can't do that. Why? When I was your age, I could have done that very easily, because economy was so smooth, it was so flowing. Everything was just getting better and better, right? So the black and white TV went to color, and the color TV went to satellite, and satellite TV went to far more detailed technology, and then all of a sudden we had internet, and then internet had applications, and applications had so much options for everyone. You guys came at the right end. You guys came when everything was there. So you don't have the luxury I have. I could wait it out, go on a sabbatical for 5 years, and I didn't miss nothing. Because if you look at the time it took for the black and white TV to go color, it's almost a decade. From the first time Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone to the mobile phone was a way long time. You guys came when everything is done. The only people you can blame is your parents. Why so late? But okay, we can get through that. How can people be good entrepreneurs? Everybody asks me this. So I have one hat where I'm an investor, I'm an angel investor. Another hat where I run a fund, so I'm owning a fund. Another hat where I sit on boards. Then I do this on the side where I talk to kids like you, people like you, who want to do something in the startup space. And every time I meet people, I just realize one thing. That the only thing you really need is creativity. Nothing else. Everybody thinks that there's this amazing $1 million idea out there that I'm missing. If I did this, then I would be that. And I remember one particular workshop, after a long session, one of the kids came up and said, okay, this is all fine, but give me an idea that would make me millions. And I immediately responded, I have one. Everybody was like startled, because I was very quick. He asked a question and gave an answer. I said, all you need to do is figure something, a product or a service, that's for $1, and spend all your time finding 1 million people to buy it. You're a millionaire. It's as simple as that. Now, the reason why I referred to this is because that's how go-to-market strategies should be. Your go-to-market strategies should be that simple. Because people create so much complication when they develop ideas, they don't realize that those ideas need to now be productized into something that can be taken to the market, right? It's not about just raising money from investors, it's also about succeeding in the marketplace. Does anybody know how many startups fail? Give me a number. From 100%, how many?
Net to 9%. Net to 9%.
Oh, that's a little too rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's around 90%.
Yeah.
Okay, it's around 90%. As of the last 3-4 years, the amount of seed funding has reduced to bare minimum. Investors, people like me, we don't trust newcomers. Not because we don't trust them, it's because we don't believe anybody who's at seed level has a chance to succeed. This is how bad it has become. So when I said you came in late, I meant it. So what do? Okay, you want to do something in life, right? You want to do something that's your own. You want to do something that you can grow and make your own. The only thing you need to be, again, is creative. So how do you do that? How does a normal, regular person starts competing with Leonardo da Vinci? How? Very simple. Be creative. So it's silly, right? Every time I tell you be creative, I sound like the guy who comes and says, be successful. Okay, then the other guy comes and says, be strong. Another guy comes and says, be happy. And nobody tells you how. I'd love to be happy, but tell me how. I'd love to be successful, tell me how. So today we're going to go through that how a little bit. Pay attention, it's very simple, it's very straightforward slides, and I'll try to go through them as simply as I can. At the end of it, ask questions, don't feel shy, because you might never see me again. Number one, it's raining, so lightning might hit me. No more Abdullah for you. We hope so. Just either give me a good umbrella or listen and ask. All right? Because the one problem I've seen with good entrepreneurs is they're somehow shy. And shyness keeps you on the back. It never keeps you ahead. Ask. Questions is one of the reasons why you will succeed. It's not the reason why you will fail. Ask questions. Part of my slides will be talking about that as well. So creativity and entrepreneurship have a very close relationship. In fact, it's so close that until and unless you're actually creative, you can never be an entrepreneur. That is why we have so many failures in entrepreneurship. There are times when I see 15, 20 entrepreneurs come and present to me, and they have no idea that they sound alike. Forget look alike, they sound alike. Everybody has that one slide where they will go in for the punch. That is the one that they think that the investor is going to take home and go flying. He doesn't realize 3 other guys just did that. When does that happen? That happens when your seed of the idea is actually an imitation of something else. And good businesses are not supposed to be imitations. Good businesses are supposed to be original. When something is original, the seed of something that's original will have the definitions completely different. Your framework of everything after that is all original. So it may be in a same sector, so it may be F&B food delivery, okay? But it will be original because you started thinking of by not thinking about Uber Eats, right? So you've got to be like that. You've got to be original, and you need to find that originality in every stage of what you're doing. And here's the last reason why you should take me very seriously. You can see how the economy is going, right? Globally, right? It's a little bit on the slide side. Now, if you want to do something for yourself, your fight is uphill. It's no longer equal level playing field. So every time you get rejected, the only thing you tell yourself is that I need to do a better job at this. Not that, how come? Oh my God, come on. I thought I did a good show. This guy should have put money in it. I want you guys to behave like scientists. You know what scientists do in research labs? They keep doing tests and tests and tests. And every time they get a result, which is a bad result, they call it data. They say this is data. So every time you have a bad meeting, a bad presentation, call it data. Behave like scientists. Say, okay, this is data I can use on what not to do. Because your success depends on how much good you get at what not to do. All right? That's how it is. So we'll start this session, and let's hope you connect with it. But this boring bit you have already gone through, so you have the first option in life as kids will study. You want to be working somewhere, or you want to own a business, or do you want to be an entrepreneur? So how do you think like an entrepreneur? Where do these great ideas come from? Next. You see that lock over there? That lock was there where your great-grandfather was around. That one, right? And he kept looking at it, and then he passed away. Then your grandfather came, and he looked at the lock. Every day, click, house in, go out, next day, click, and he passed away. Then your father came in, and he kept looking at the lock. And you were small, and you kept looking at the lock. Now, don't you think that there are so many things around you, even today, that haven't changed for a very, very long time? Right? So many things. Now ask yourself, how many times have you taken the time to think about these things? How many times? So the person who looked at that lock after so many years said, hey, I can do this. I can make an e-lock. I can actually open the door from my office while my maid comes in to clean the house and she just gets a code. Oh wow, no need for that lock. Let's go for this lock. So one moment of thinking allowed the person to create an idea that is now very dominant, and he's made a lot of money in that. Of course, now there are more changes, there are fingerprint access, etc., etc. Okay, all of you, when you go to your classrooms, I'm sure there's some access that you use, right? Okay, so imagine that guy had not done that. You guys would all be waiting for your professor to open the lock and get you in and get you out. So this went on for so many years, and nobody thought, and guess what? When that lock was around in 1970s and 80s, there was enough technology in the world. Okay, the world had already exploded with enough technology. We had the first computer, we had a lot of science that was maturing itself, but nobody thought about the simple things. So this is the one thing that helps a potential entrepreneur, someone like you, to think. Think about the simple things and see how you can change them using technology. Simple things, change them using technology. Sliders. So perception is actually a very important element for you. Why? Because if you decide to look at something, you want to look at this bottle, you have several options. You have the option to look at the color, the shape, the print, and then also imagine that yellow is the lemon yellow or the orange yellow or the grapefruit yellow. What yellow is that, right? So it depends on when you perceive something, when you perceive an idea for entrepreneurship, you have to get your perception blocked out. what part of your perception do you want to pursue? Most people confuse themselves with having a collective perception about one thing. That doesn't help you as an entrepreneur, because when you go to that stage of productization, you'll have a problem because your mind was that big when you did that. So you can't do that. You'll need to actually try and focus, because in the early stages of entrepreneurship, when you are in that ideation phase, you need to pick up what you need to see. And you can't just say it's a bottle. That's the most simplistic thing you could do out of your perception. And guess what? God gave you these two beautiful eyes that are better than any mobile phone camera, right? The resolution of your eyes is better than the camera? Yes or no? Okay. So God gave you that, and the only thing you did is look at this and say, it's a bottle. Right? So stop being simple. Start being a little bit creative in how you perceive things. Perception is a stepping stone of what you can do and what you can achieve. Some of you will change by nature and by willingness. Others are forced. Forced changes sometimes help. Sometimes forced changes help. So if you know the story of Alexander the Great, Alexander came from a very noble family. And one fine day, he was a nobody. Why? Because his father chose the wrong person to back, and that person lost in the war. And the new general took over, and Alexander became a regular soldier. Alexander fought all the battles as a regular soldier, earned his place in the army, then became a general himself, and then plotted his move inside the political scene, and then he became the leader of Rome as the dictator. So sometimes a bad situation in your life should change you for the better. You should know that. So most of the success stories that you see today in the world, people who are successful, actually came out of something very bad. So some of the forced changes make you want to do something more. Only if you are creative. If you're not creative, you'll never do it. You had a bad situation, you back up. You say, not my day, not my game, I'm not into it. That's it. So if you want to have a change in your life, use your bad situations to force you to achieve more. That's why I get very upset when people say, oh my God, the country's economy, this, and well, this is your opportunity. What are you doing, right? John F. Kennedy said, ask not what the country can do for you, ask what you can do for the country. And then on another occasion, John F. Kennedy said outside University of Rice in 1969, he said, I sent man to moon not because it was easy, but because it was hard. So nothing you do that is supposed to be successful is supposed to be easy. Nothing. It is supposed to be hard. You need to gear yourself up for that. Creativity helps you a lot with that. So some of the changes that you can do in your life can come out of the bad situations that you try to ignore or try to hide away from. Right? Use those situations to find a good change. The second right answer. So if I ask anybody 5 plus 5, 5 plus 5, 5 plus 5, how much is it? 10, right? Okay. So what's creative about that, right? 5 plus 5 is 10. But if I ask you dash plus dash is 10, what's your answer? 8 plus 2, yours?
7.
Yours? Okay, yours?
4, 6.
See? Different answers. So what did I do? I changed the question. So when you get into difficult situations, change the question. You still don't get to where you need to be, change the question. You still don't get where you need to be, change the question. Be at it days, hours, weeks, months. Change the question until you get what you need. That is the recipe of success. anyone wanting to come out with a great idea, keep changing the question. Okay, how can I stop traffic? Change the question. Okay. How do I get people organized in traffic? No. How do I make sure that the traffic lights function in a way by which I can? No. Okay. How do I think about a green environment so lesser cars on the road? Keep changing the question. Keep changing the environment. The more you change the question, the better you will get at where you need to reach. If there is something you need to reach, anyone can reach anything in this life. Trust me. All you need to do is to have the time to leave your phones and think about what you're doing and apply creativity and keep changing the question. Changing the question is very important to success. Now, most entrepreneurs have to think along these lines, right? They have to be either hard thinkers or soft thinkers. They will either be looking at things that are similar or things that are different, right? So this is how you would think. If you were a hard thinker, you would be logical, consistent, put a lot of hard work and very exact. But if you're a soft thinker, you're like someone who's an artist, always thinks in different designs. So you're working on a hunch, you're going by a very playful mood, you're being very ambiguous, and you use metaphors. Metaphors sometimes help you change. So sometimes when you are having a bad situation, try to relate it to a metaphor. See how things change. Go to the next slide. So for you to have a very good creative process, you need to go through both lines of thinking, hard and soft. Both lines of thinking has to be there. Look at that first metaphor, right? Life is like cooking. It all depends on what you add and how you mix it. Sometimes with the recipe, sometimes you decide to be creative. It's a metaphor. Okay? It's a metaphor that says life is like an elevator, it has ups and downs, someone is always pushing your buttons. Right? You're never in control. It's a metaphor. So just imagine you had a situation where you were working in an office and the boss just said, blah, 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 whatever, in a very tough tone. Who's pushing the buttons? He is. Whose elevator are you working in? His. So the ups and downs are not in your control. They're in his control. So you immediately created a metaphor to your situation, and that helped you kind of feel a little bit more comfortable. So try and know and learn a lot more metaphors for you to relate to so that your creative brain begins to use itself. Everybody always tells you follow the rules, right? What is rules? Rules is a set pattern. 5 plus 5 is 10. That's rules. If you follow rules, you'll get nowhere. I know I shouldn't be saying that studying in a university, but this is a fact. Why? Everybody ends up at the end of your educational journey with a degree, right? Now, does that guarantee you a job? Does it? Okay, so how smart is it? So you pay a lot of money for this education. So if you put that money in a bank, at least the bank will tell you at the end of the year, I give you this much returns. The university tells you, here's a degree. And the maximum cost to print it would have been £20. And if you put some lamination on it, good one, with a frame, £50. And you go with that and walk to every office. Will you get a job? What do you need to do to get a job? You need to score in your interview. How do you do that? You went there thinking, I'm not going to get a job. You went there thinking, I don't think I can get the job. So what you decide in your head actually happens. And then you're more depressed when you're turned down at the interview. So if you want to follow rules, you can never be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are people who are outside the game called rules. They make their own rules, and then the world follows. Isn't that a powerful position? Isn't it a powerful position? See, you guys are planning to be very powerful people. You're going to be very, very powerful. Now just imagine for 2 seconds what that does to you as a feeling. Doesn't that make you feel extremely positive? Doesn't it? So if you want to feel powerful, get that positivity to break a few rules and start creatively thinking and challenging everything that's around you. Challenge it. Don't let anybody tell you that you're no good, that you can't do it. Oh my God, this will never work. Don't let anybody tell you that, including me. And I say that to many people. Why? Because if you believe in something, I'm not supposed to believe in it because it's yours. That's your prized possession, right? But make sure that what you believe in has an end game. Let me ask you a very simple question. It's a very simple question, okay? And whoever can answer it, raise your hands. Tell me, what is the most important thing to think about when you're robbing a bank? Tell me.
Is the vault open?
Okay.
How to get out?
How much is money inside the bank?
Any other?
Security. Security.
How I won't get caught?
Manufacturing. Anything else?
Finding. Not to get the money from the bank.
Okay. Something else?
How much the money is?
Okay. Exit route. Okay.
The blueprint of the bank.
Sorry?
The blueprint of the bank.
Okay.
Where will I get
Okay.
a good team?
Okay, nice. He's gonna rob a bank soon. Okay, now I'm gonna give you some background to that, alright? And then I'm gonna ask you the same question the second time. What is the most important goal of you robbing a bank?
Money.
Money, right?
Fame.
Okay. Let me ask you again.
Fame.
How can you keep the money that you rob? By not getting caught. Right? So you see, when you shift the question a few times, you get the goal correctly. So imagine, all of us got together, he's our team leader, we went and robbed NatWest next door, or Barclays, who's close to you?
Mattress.
That's it, they're done with. Okay. So we walk away with 10 million pounds and a few pennies, because that's what they keep there apparently. And on the next street, we get caught. Some of us escape, because we're a big bunch, right? We can helter-skelter ourselves. So cops can run everywhere behind us. So some of us escape. 2 days later, they get caught. Some from that group also escape. A week later, they also get caught. So isn't it smart of us that before we go to do anything, why not first figure out how do we not get caught for a long time and use the money we stole? What's the point of not getting caught and you can't use the money? So a good idea is exactly like that. Think about the end game. Ask the question, change it if you don't get the answer. Change it if you don't get the answer. You will get the answer. Trust me, silence provides tremendous energy to the mind. Silence. Find silence in your life. We people don't have silence these days. We are so cluttered. We have so many messages, you know. We wake up from sleep continuing our life literally. We wake up and all of a sudden we know what to do, right? Oh, my class is there. Oh, I forgot these notes. Okay, let me talk to the professor there, etc. Try to get some silence. Schedule it in your week. Find some place, sometime. You get that silence, and then robbing the bank becomes a very simple affair. A very simple affair. You have to understand that sometimes the most difficult things become easy if you just paid attention to it. So you need to be a creative thinker. You need to challenge the rules. Don't follow if you want to be an expert. You see those QWERTYUIOP? Do you recognize that? That's actually the keyboard. So this keyboard had this, all right? Do you know who made it? Who made the keyboard? The guy who made the typewriter, right? The guy who made the typewriter made that keyboard. So when he made that keyboard, he actually did it that way because every time the keys were next to each other, A, B, C, D were next to each other, the keys would get stuck because you were typing it very fast. So he randomly distributed these alphabets in such difficult places, so it became a little slower for people to type, so the keys wouldn't, get caught. Now it's been years, and we're still following that same keyboard. Why? Imagine you're coming to college and you're typing on the same keyboard. You use your mobile phone, you're typing on the same keyboard. Just imagine if somebody spent time trying to change that keyboard. So let's imagine she did it, and he partnered her. And this keyboard now became a different keyboard. So they decided that instead of having so many keys, we will have just 6 keys. And 6 keys will have functions of so many alphabets. It's all about pressing them a number of times, similar to Morse code, right? That's what you do in Morse code. You keep tapping until you pass a message. Now, 2 things would happen. Firstly, that keyboard would shrink in size, so the cost of the keyboard would come down. Secondly, it will become so much more easy for people to use it, and computer companies to design something that is a little bit more different. The point I'm making is, when I started this discussion, I told you that there's a lot of things around us which has not changed. You need to look at it. So when I ask you to find that peace and silence and quiet in your life, it's not just for you to think, it's about you to think correctly. So you look around you, and you look at the people around you. He has a pen in his shirt. Okay, how long have we been having pens? Right? Why isn't there a substitute? Okay, we've got zippers, right? You've got a zipper on your pullover. Now, what is the substitute to a zipper? Okay, we've got pockets. Okay, what is the substitute to pockets? Okay, we've got chairs, right? These chairs look like this since a long time. What do we do to change it? So you need to kind of find something by yourself or as a group, as an activity. If you want to be entrepreneurs, this is how you challenge your brain to be creative, and then you will see them. Okay, so there's a way of doing this. It's called the what if and the stepping stone. So you begin by what if, and then you go to stepping stone. All right, let's see what is the what if. Can I go to the next slide? Yeah. So let me ask you this question, all right? Everybody raise hands and give me whatever answer, silly, logical. What if a human never slept? What would happen? What is the businesses you can do if a human never slept?
We can make something to reduce the fatigue.
Okay. Anything else? We can't sleep. There's nothing called sleep. Humans can't sleep. What's the business you would launch?
Try something to entertain them.
Good. Because they have more time, right?
There'll be night sports.
Sorry?
Nighttime sports.
Yeah. Okay. Nobody's sleeping. Everybody's awake.
What if it is in the night?
Yeah. You're a party guy, aren't you? Yeah. Yeah, but you're right. There's nothing called nightlife. It is night. Everybody's just awake 24 hours, 365 days a year. Yeah.
A place where people can get peace because they are working for a long time. They will be fatigued after a particular point of time. And
Yeah, so we might end up having so many centers, not for yoga anymore, but for detox. So people would just go in to detox themselves and calm themselves down. Look at what if humans lived for 200 years. Now you know that every human will live for 200 years. What do you think you can launch as a business?
Insurance was.
Insurance policy? That's a bad insurance policy.
Yeah.
200 years, you're going to wait a lot. Old age homes? Yeah.
Energy bills.
Energy bills?
Yes.
I hope the camera gets you. Alright.
Hospitals?
Huh?
Hospitals?
Okay, good. So you see what 200 years means after 70, you are almost incapacitated for many things, right? So imagine the change in everything called infrastructure. Every shopping mall, every cinema hall, everything will be different because people are a lot more older. The projections on the screen in a cinema hall, mobile phones, okay, there will be a lot of technology that will be voice activated. Why? Because most of these people may lose their sight by the end of the day, right? And now look at the interesting one. What if the price of petrol and water were the same? What would happen?
Global warming.
Huh? Global warming?
Stone wood. Everyone's going to use a car, so
Everyone's going to use
everyone's
the
going to
car.
buy a car and it will destroy.
Okay. What would happen? Price of water, 1 liter, and petrol is the same.
It depends if you are raising the price of water.
It's the same. What's the price of petrol now per gallon? How much is it?
£1.30.
Okay, same price for water. Now,
We will find someone to substitute for water.
okay, is there a substitute for water? Yeah, but now you'll be forced to find, right?
Yes.
Okay. What else?
Everyone will get a chance to do a business because there is a lots of water than the petrol.
Okay.
They'll find a substitute of petrol.
Okay.
Automobiles working on water.
Okay. Interesting.
No pollution.
So you see, that is what I call a forced change. Right? So you'll be forced to create cars that can run on water because now it's the same price. Or you'll be forced to find alternative energy sources to petrol. Okay? Conservation of water will be number one priority for everybody. So every time it rains like this, there'll be like huge funnels on top of buildings just collecting water. Okay? Rainwater harvesting. And then every bit of water that's on the floor will also be treated until it's back to be usable. So these are the kind of exercises you do. These are crazy things. I just put them randomly. You can choose random things, crazy things. Like I like the first one actually better. What if you have elected off officials by lottery? Just think about it. Yeah.
You would have more than one North Korea in the world.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. What else? So there's a lottery ball and there are people in there, and you just pull them out and what's your name? Anuj. Anuj ends up being the Prime Minister of the country, and he has no idea his name is on there. And everybody says, Anuj, congratulations, you're Prime Minister of the country. It's funny, but I want you to kind of engage your minds to new things. You're so used to thinking about the same thing. You're following the rule. There's a pattern. It's difficult for you to be creative and hence entrepreneurs if you don't do these kind of things. They seem silly, but trust me, they're exercises to push your brain to think something outside the ordinary. Everything is so familiar to you. You need to change that pattern. And that's how you do it. You do the what if exercises. And then there's the stepping stone. So there was a problem in Netherlands many, many years ago. And it was a trash problem, that they were having a lot of trash. So every time they tried to resolve it, so everybody was not successful. The mayor called in a meeting, and everybody came in, and they said, okay, let's throw in some ideas. Let's do something here. So what they did is the first guy came in and said, okay, let's do something. Let's let's give people money who throw trash in the bin. Everybody liked the idea. And then the mayor said, yeah, the minute we do that, we'll be out of money in the treasury, right? And somebody else came up with another idea. Was a bad one. Then finally one person said, okay, I have an idea. And the idea was that he made a trash bin where if you deposit trash, it tells you a joke. So there's a voice box there. So the minute you deposit trash, it tells you a joke. It became so successful that there were people queuing up just to throw trash. So you see how the what if scenarios and the stepping stone ideas work. But on the other hand, many years before that, in Lithuania, there was, I think it was the 14th or the 15th century, there was a plague in the city and people were dying. So the mayor called everybody for ideas and everybody came in and gave ideas. So everybody's ideas were there, and then finally one guy came up and he said, okay, here's what we do. Because what happened was, when they were burying one of the victims in the coffin, while they were putting sand over his coffin, he woke up. He wasn't dead. So the mayor said, oh my God, we must have buried so many people who are alive. So he said, come up with ideas. So everybody came up with ideas. One smart guy came up with a brilliant idea. He said, here's what we do. Right where we shut the coffin, the part that's right above the heart, let's put in a big nail, whack it in. So if this guy hasn't died, he would definitely die if we pierce his heart, right? So everybody said, why don't we just check whether the guy's actually dead rather than trying to kill him? So you need to kind of work on your what if ideas as a creative exercise, but you need to conclude with something that makes a lot of common sense, all right? Most of us judge everything prematurely. If we have a bad situation, we say, oh, it's a failure. Oh my God, I'll never get it. Oh my God, this is not going to work. No, be like the artists. Perform. Keep performing. Don't judge yourself too early. One of the reasons why people give up early is because they judge themselves early. They say, I have failed. I'm a failure. Don't do that. Be like artists. Keep performing. Keep performing. You're not there to show someone anything besides what you want to show yourself. And the only thing you want to show yourself is what? Success. Right? Slide. Now, take a pick from any of these. Okay? Who wants to pick Snapchat or WhatsApp or Facebook? Just pick a name. Any business. Can we all agree on it? Which one do you want to pick? Snapchat? Anybody wants to pick Snapchat? Who's happy with Facebook? Raise your hands. Okay, only 4 people, 5 people happy with Facebook. Okay. Amazon? Is anybody happy with Amazon? Okay. Alright, great. So this is a domino. Alright? So let's assume I'm an angel investor and I'm interested in investing in you guys. You're entrepreneurs. All those who raised hands and those who did. Tell me what is the thing you want to change in Amazon. Tell me. All those who raised their hand, do you want to change something in Amazon?
Maybe profit sharing.
Profit sharing? Interesting. Who else raised their hand?
Website design?
You don't like the interface?
No.
Okay. Anything in Amazon you don't like? Huh?
We don't know the reviews are actually real or fake.
Okay.
Creating one global common platform like eBay does, because it's like divided into country by country users, so like it's very difficult when you switch the country organization.
Okay, so now let me change the question. What is the one thing that a customer on Amazon does not like? Isn't it delay of the shipment?
No. Because they have started Prime, so you can get your shipment like in one day.
Yeah, but that comes at a
But then also there's like
But they are
they deliver in 3 days, 2 to 3 days.
2 to 3 days.
Within 1 day, it should be finished.
So what happens if it's late? What happens if your shipment is late? Has anybody got a late shipment?
Yes.
Right.
Facility order.
Alright, so now think. Let's use that as our basis of a new Amazon. What if we launched a new Amazon that said that if Samir ordered his Nikes and he was supposed to get them on the end of this month, which is the 30th of September. If he didn't get them on the 30th of September, if he got them on the 1st of October, or the 2nd of October, or the 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever, every other day he would get a bigger discount. So if he paid $100, he would now get it at 98 if it came tomorrow. He would get it at 96 if it came the day after. Alright? Don't you think you would get a lot more customers on your platform? And wouldn't they just pray to God, let my shipment be late? Okay? What else would you want to change? Lot of payment? Okay. What would you want to change?
So like every payment comes in cash on the cash in the day.
Cash on delivery, right? Okay, which is very popular in Asia.
Yeah.
Who said profit share? Profit share, right? I like that. Tell me more about it.
Okay, so maybe doing some coupons or by collecting points.
Okay.
So that you can, accumulate
The loyalty.
Loyalty. They're talking about loyalty. I think it's already there, right?
Yeah, it's
No,
No, Amazon.
No, Amazon doesn't have.
so it doesn't help.
Can I give an example?
Yeah.
Yeah, in India, I don't know if you know, there's a platform called Myntra.
I know it, but I don't know anything
So,
about it.
usually during the sale time, they have these games on the app where you can play and you can earn points which can be used as cash to buy something. So if Amazon does something like that, where you can have...
This is not Amazon, this is your new business. This is Amazon X. So,
Okay.
what would you want to do?
So if it's something like creative and it has games, like something new, like simple games, like you have brand names, you need to match them with the pictures, something like that. I've seen this. Myntra has already done it. So when you get the correct answer or simple quiz, you get coupons or you get a cryptocurrency.
Okay, so guys, if we have this new Amazon X and we had games for you to play, you're not buying anything. You go on the platform and there's games, like you said, you're matching brands or you're giving something, you're picking up a winner, blah blah blah, whatever. Okay, and you win. You win points, you win cryptocurrency, you win products, gifts. Would you like it? Raise your hands. Would you like that idea?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. How would you like if you had a credit facility that you buy and pay later or pay in installments?
Yeah.
Would you like it? Raise your hands.
They already provide.
Yeah,
EMI.
There's one.
EMI.
Amazon already has it?
Yeah.
Okay.
already started with pay later options.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so what is it that would get you more excited?
Maybe something as virtual reality.
What about it?
So if let's say for example if you're buying something for your home and if you can really visualize like how it will look like, or like if you're buying shirt or dress, then you can
Okay.
just visualize like how would it suit on you or something like that.
Okay.
That would
What if you had, he bought a pair of shoes and after he bought them, he doesn't want them? Okay. What if he had the opportunity to put it back into the marketplace and sell it off using the Amazon platform, Amazon X platform, and retain a margin of it? Would that be good?
You already have the return back policy.
Return back is different to selling.
So reselling it.
I'm
Reselling
talking
it by
going
yourself.
back into the marketplace and reselling. So you get a margin of it.
But why people buy from us? It's already a used product, right?
No, you don't open the box. That's what I'm saying. That he bought something and he's not anymore wanting to take it. So when the delivery comes home, he returns it back and says, I want to exercise my marketplace options.
I think Amazon has the option of affiliate marketing.
Okay.
We can create a website and we need to promote their website. If someone is clicking on the website and buying any product from Amazon, we get the margin from there.
From the Amazon website, right? Or
Just
what
need
if
to create a website and we need to promote it.
who has to create a website?
We need to.
Your website.
Yeah, I am creating a website
Yeah.
from using the Amazon website. I'm creating my website and I'm making both the website together. So if you click on my website and you will directly drive it to Amazon and you buy a product over from Amazon.
Okay.
And it will.
So what if you had something like that, which is actually now connecting you to any product in the world, not just Amazon? What if I told you that I'll give you the ability to choose the 5 designs for a website and then categories, choose what do you want. You want shoes, you want clothes, you want bags, choose them. And every time you choose, my AI helps you integrate all of the products in the world and pushes it to your store. And then when you push it to your customers, when the customers want the product, it automatically updates the prices and the listing of that product in any part of the world. It could be a shoe from Peru, it could be a spice from India, it could be a bag from Taipei. Okay. Wouldn't that be better than just be connected to Amazon? Yeah. So let's assume she wants to do a store, and all her store she wants only herbal stuff. She doesn't want anything else. She wants only herbs in there, teas and whatever, all herbs. That's a store. But I don't get to decide that, she gets to decide. And I find all the herbal supplies in the world, my AI gives it to her. Isn't that a great store? Okay. You want to put only toys. That's it. Everything toys. So we get toy suppliers from everywhere. Korea, Japan, China, South America, Scandinavia, everywhere. So her store is filled with all the toys you would ever want to see. Don't you think that's a good platform? Yeah? And you're not paying anything for it. The platform says these are all virtual products. Once your customer wants to buy it, it goes through the chain. So you're never paying anything for anything. There's no inventory, there's no cost of website. You actually take the website from our platform and do it. The point I'm making is, guys, that's how ideas come. You need to think beyond the norm. Whatever somebody else is doing, outdo them. It's a chess game. That's how it works. So, in my fun at my workshop, this is what we do. This is the process. This is how it goes. So what we do is we inspire creativity in people, and then we start to look at the toolkit for entrepreneurship for you to understand. Then we work on your startup idea. Then we help you with the business journey. Then we support you with the investors pitch, and then help you with the seed funding and go to market. Now, those processes are divided into 4 stages. The last being go to market. Now, until and unless anyone, including me, is convinced that you have an idea that has any legs, okay? Always remember, you must have heard it so many times, but this is actually true, that in the first 2 to 3 minutes, if somebody is not interested, he's never going to be interested. You know, I was sitting with a good friend of mine who's a very senior lawyer here in the UK, and he was talking about 3 different startups he wants to introduce to me, and I told him, okay, great, you know, whatever. And he started talking about them, and at first, I just didn't pay attention to it. The second one, the minute he started talking about it, I just sat up in my chair, and I said, okay, what else? Okay, can he do this? Okay, can he do that? That's how a good idea is. If you don't see that happening when you're presenting your idea, go back to my rule of changing the question, which means try to work on the idea in a different way. Okay? So what you are presenting is only looking good to you. It should be looking good to everybody else. Okay? So that is why research is very important. Do enough research. That is why it's important for you to find that peacetime, silence, nobody around you, and then start thinking. And that is why you need to train your brain to think differently besides the normal rules by doing the what ifs. Crazy stuff. What if birds had horns? Crazy stuff. Okay? What if I could fly for just 20 minutes in a day? What would I do? Okay? Think. Some of the greatest writers in the world have written amazing books, best-selling books, by thinking. Right? Harry Potter, is it true? Is it a true fact? Okay, look at how big a success it is. Game of Thrones. Is it true? Any fans? Game of Thrones fans here? Ah, me too, sad, right? I'll talk about that later. You guys know. So you need to think, and thinking is the only art of success that you have. Education, you would have it. 10 other million people would have it. There's no difference there. So you need to create a difference in your life, and the difference will come with the way you think, not who you are. The way you think changes everything in this world. Don't let anybody tell you that you're this, or you're from this, or you're from there. As long as your thinking is in the right place, you'll get ears to listen to you. And when you get ears to listen to you, you'll get hearts that believe in you. And when that happens, you are a powerful person. Being powerful is very important, because with power comes responsibility. So if I can convert any one of you into entrepreneurs, that means you launch businesses that will hire people. So I might be the reason for people to get jobs in your companies. And what if I made a bad job of you? And I just inspired you to raise money and launch the business, the startup business, and you just succeeded for 3 years. That means Samir and I, who will work in your startup, will lose our jobs when you shut down, and the economy will be affected. We can't follow the old rules. The old rules was like this, that there's a factory, there's a manufacturing unit where our grandfathers worked, and they came back home, and every time those shut down, their lives were a mess. We have to change things. And to change things, try to initiate concepts that are successful, not just concepts that can raise money. Raising money is the easiest thing these days. Trust me on that. It's the easiest thing. I always tell people that if I want to fool around, I'll just go around creating silly ideas and giving these amazing pitches because I'm silly at speaking, right? And then I'll collect money, and then what? I have no interest in running this. I just attended a board meeting where I got upset with a very successful entrepreneur. I got very upset with him. Why? Because I had a point to get upset. I told him, if you don't grow, the business does not grow. It's not about my money. And if the business does not grow, we will not get more jobs out. This global economy needs more jobs. And it's people like you who can create those jobs. So you are to be powerful because you will be responsible, and then you will be known. Today, Mark Zuckerberg is not really known for his billions, but for his tens of thousands of jobs that he's creating. Google, known for the same thing. Think about how we can do something to create opportunities in this flagging economy that we live in. So I wish all of you guys success, and I hope you were bored enough not to follow anything that I said. But guess what? I have converted a lot of interesting companies into very good successes. And I do have the luxury of sitting with people like Mercedes, Intel Capital, Sony Music, Aramax. Who else did I miss? So I'm sharing with you something that works. Sorry? I miss you, exactly. So I'm here to try and help you guys, just from the perspective of support and guidance. Everything at the end of the day you will do. So you have the next 20 minutes to ask me as many questions as you can, and then I need to get on an Uber to my next meeting. Go ahead. Like I said, if I leave and a lightning strikes me, then don't come back. I don't write anything in my will about you guys. Yeah?
Being at that stage, how do you manage everything? Like you are an investor, you startup, like you're a startup and...
I wrote a piece on LinkedIn on who I believe is the most creative person in the world. And to me it was Leonardo da Vinci. Because he was not just a painter, he was also a poet, he was a man of medicine. He designed the sewage system of the city of Rome. He drew some of the most famous weapons and modern day aircrafts. So how did he do that? I kept thinking about it, and then I realized that he started thinking in packages, which means that he would dedicate 2 hours for a painting, and after he's finished his 2 hours, the painting is not finished, but he would stop where it is, and then go to his sewage system of the city. And he would never think about the painting. You have to find a way to disembark all your thoughts into packages. The minute you do that, it's very easy. By the way, I handle 32 startups. I sit on the board of around 8 to 10 companies. And I do industrial projects, so I'm currently launching the 5th largest manufacturing facility for silicon in Kuwait. And I'm also working on another project to launch a butadiene manufacturing facility, while I just signed up 2 new funds that I'm hoping to launch. So it's very simple, it's not very difficult. You know, you can't get emotional about things. You can't achieve everything in a day, but in a day you can begin everything. So you need to follow that rule. Okay? You can't do everything in a day. When you get tired, stop. Stop, because the next day will be another thing. But you can do a lot of things if you just package your thoughts. Yeah?
As I said, like change the question every time. How people conclude that which is the right question?
It's the answer that you want, right? The answer is, I need to know your name, right? I need to know what you're called. So if I say, so what are you known as? One question. Okay, when you were born, what were the options your parents had for names? Second option, so you will tell me the options and then you say your name. Third option, okay, so you registered your name as, because this happens to me many times when I want to register somebody's name on my phone, and he's been in touch with me for a long time, and he says, this is my phone, and I say, okay, so what's your full name? Just to get the first name, because I quite don't remember the first name. You keep changing the questions, because the answer is obvious. You want an answer. You have to be clear about the answer. The questions will change once you know what the answer is. So the answer has to be clear to you. Yeah, somebody raised his hand. Yeah.
What were your main challenges?
Sorry?
What were your main challenges?
My main challenges? Myself. I think I'm the most self-destructive person there is. I begin to like something to the manner of romance and love. I begin to hate something to the manner of destruction. So I have these amazing extremes, and then I try to find nirvana somewhere in the middle. And whenever I do, I achieve success. You will always be your biggest problem because you give up, because you think you can't do it. You will always be your biggest problem because you believe somebody else is the reason of your success. You will always be your biggest problem because you think resources are the ones that will make you. Okay? It's all about that perception thing that I talked about. So for me, I think I don't do enough. I think I haven't achieved enough. I think that, oh my God, after all these years, the only thing I'm doing is a few funds and a few startups. Why not the big thing, right? So I'm always doing the big thing. So I was just in a meeting now trying to chart out this big global network, etc. And I always keep scratching the surface. So for me, the biggest challenges was me. Okay? If I ever said that anything outside me was a challenge, that means I'm a loser. Because nobody can decide what happens to me. No one.
Before your achievements, did you have any failures?
Oh my God. All right. I was born and raised in Kuwait. I'm from India, but I was born and raised in Kuwait. In 86, my dad retired. I was 15 and a half, and we went to India. I don't know Hindi. I don't know how to get on a train or a bus. And I got hooked on with the wrong crowd. Long story short, I became a very famous gangster. I have a lot of star moons on me and stuff. And I wanted to get out of it. So I left Kuwait with a zero. I came to India, I hit a second zero. So I thought, let me get out of it. So I had a cousin who was working somewhere in Qatar. So I told him, get me a job there. By that time I was 19 years old, I think. He got me a job. He said, it's not a big job, it's just a receptionist job. And sometimes, you know what they say? Don't ask for something, it may actually come true. So I actually told him, listen, even if it's digging holes, let me get that job. I just want to leave India. I don't want to get arrested. I don't want to be into fights anymore. I go to Qatar, and this is the third phase of my life. And the first month I get a salary, the second, third, fourth, I don't. Long story short, 2 years, I don't get more than maybe 3 salaries. So I have no money to eat. So do you know what's a khubuz, a pita bread? So I would eat 1 pita bread with some yogurt every day. And I was 22 at that time, and my weight was 49 kilos. Okay, you know how we look when you're 22 and 49 kilos? Not too pretty. Okay, but I never gave up. So, I always tell people, you have hope when you don't have money, you don't have a job, when you don't have friends, when you don't have a relationship. But what do you do with hunger, right? What do you do with it? There's no hope. You're hungry, now what? So it would give me pains right here on my forehead, and it would be very bad. And that's why I'm very connected to charities with hunger and with people who are not able to find food. I would go jogging. It's the only thing I could do because there's no help. I can't do it. So I jog. I jog for 3 hours until my whole body pain. So my body pain overtook my head pain. So I would override. But I never stopped believing in myself. So that was my third zero in my life. And then I finally went back to Kuwait, and I resurrected myself at the age of 23. Yeah. And that was 1994. 1996, I got married. 97, we were going on our first holiday. And me and my wife were at the airport in Kuwait, and I wanted to buy a watch. So I've been telling her for a month I want to buy a watch, and I saw this beautiful Mont Blanc in the display at the duty free, and I bought it. It was like 1,200 pounds or something, yeah, something like that. After I bought it, I said to my wife, hang on, I need to pray. She said, why, you finished your prayers? So I said, I'll tell you. I went to a mosque, I prayed, I came back, and I told her exactly 3 years ago, I didn't have money to eat. If you believe in yourself, truly believe in yourself, you will make it. I've come out of hunger. Okay. Today, I have loads of workshops, loads of discussions, and I think a good life. But I don't forget that. Why? Because that made me. Right? So failures, plenty. In work, I have too many failures. I've taken assignments that went nowhere. And then I reached a point where I would only take assignments that were challenging. You could not give me an assignment that was good. Anything that was good, I remember a famous bank in Kuwait asked me to join them as vice president. I said, why? Everything is good with you, right? They said, yeah, but we need you. I said, what for? Everything is fine. You're going to give me a good salary to do what? Sit on a bench? That's it, a beautiful, swanky office. I'm not retired, I'm not 63. Right? So as long as you're young, as long as you have your minds ticking, go for it. Never stop. So yeah, I had a lot of failures.
So you mentioned that there are many options to raise the fund, but what are the options you can mention? How to raise the fund? If you have idea and I want to implement it, then how we can?
Okay, is your question about how to raise the fund or how to implement the idea?
How to implement the idea? Because ultimately the fund is on the options.
You think so?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's a product, and product needs money.
Let's assume your idea is a new electrical bike. Okay? Let's assume this is a meeting presentation with an investor. This is your slide. On your slide, you showed me your bike. You showed me the technical specifications of your bike. You proved to me that all the tests are correct. You showed me the authorities that tested you. And you showed me your cost, and you showed me your retail price, and your wholesale price. You showed me your balance sheet, and it looks pretty. Will I invest? I should, right?
Yes.
How much money did it cost you to make those slides? So why do you need money?
No, I'm not talking about the. I'm talking about the implementation. not the presenting part.
If you don't have the funds to go to market, you can't go to market. And for you to have funds to go to market, you need to have that convincing enough for an investor to say, I want to go on this. Okay? So there's a business that I invested in personally in 2017. He did, bless you, he did 300,000 pounds. And in 2017, I told him that in 2018, you will be doing a few millions. And this is the founder who laughed back at me and he said, Mr. Abdullah, you're an investor, but I'll tell you honestly, I don't think I'll do more than 2 million. I said, you'll do 20. He closed at 20. Last year, this year, he will do 40. Next year, you'll do 100. Okay? Always find investors who know a little bit more than you. Don't go to investors for money. If you go to them for money, that's called dumb capital. If you get dumb capital, then dumbness is the dominant factor in that dumb capital. It's not going to help you. You need investors who can add value besides money. Always do that. Whenever you look for investors, like they interview you, you interview them. Let them know you're serious. This is a mission of your life. Why are you going to take it lightly, right? Just because he's going to sign a check? That check would be your biggest mistake if you did not interview this guy. If he has no other value besides money, that's the wrong guy. Walk away.
Yeah. So I'm a co-founder of a tech startup, and I think I'm in stage 6. So what is your advice for me, and what is the best way to find smart capital?
You said you're in stage 6,
Yeah.
which is go to market.
1, 2, 3, seed funding.
Seed funding?
Yeah.
Okay. So where's your problem?
Can you come again, please?
Where's your problem? What is your challenge?
So my challenge is to find smart capital. Again, you said dumb capital and smart capital. So I've been going around every investor possible. So how do I find the best investor, the most suitable one?
What is the thing that most investors told you? Be honest.
Come back after you have some traction.
How long did you spend in his office?
So maybe like 20 minutes or 30 minutes.
Okay. So in 20 or 30 minutes he said, come back after you get some traction.
Yeah.
Right? So did you get some traction?
Yes, now I do.
How much traction do you have?
Like we launched like a week back, and we have like 100 users who spend like £250 on that.
Okay.
And that's the start.
So you need to have large attraction for someone to take you seriously. So validation is where you are. You're not supposed to be at seed fund.
Step between.
You're supposed to be in validation stage, which is a pretty long stage. It's like a good divorce. No, it is. Both of them are happy because they're going away. And they agree on why they're going away. So validation gives you that. Spend time with her. You still like her, but you don't want to be with her. Spend time. Enough time on it. You have what, 100 customers?
Yeah.
Jump to a few thousand. Then go to the investors and you will see the change. But I'd like to see what your idea is. So, Samir, if you can send me his slides.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah? And I'm very good at shooting down new ideas, so don't worry.
I'm used to it.
Yeah, so see, I like that, right? So did you try and change the question every time?
Yeah, so we've been doing it for like 1.5 years, and over the last 3 months we made a lot of changes, and now investors seem like this. So we are trying to validate it now. So it's a good time for us to pitch to people.
Okay, good. I'd like to hear what you have. Yeah?
What's a good pitch?
As in the tone or the start? Okay, for me as an investor or any investor, I wouldn't worry about that. I worry about where do you begin. Do you start by saying, my starter is about blah blah blah, or I've launched a starter using this team, or you go with, I think I've finally got something that is completely different to everything else. Okay, so you got my interest. Why? Maybe you faked it, but you got my interest.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so now I'm listening to you. Now you need to go one layer lower and try to present that in a proper way. Say, let's say you are in whatever business. Say this industry has now had 7 years of no real change. There hasn't been any disruption. And I think I have got the most disruptive concept to get this industry on its head. Okay. Try keeping the tempo of my interest high. Okay. Don't share numbers with me too soon. The minute you show us numbers, we're good at math. Even though we were never good at math in school, but when we are investors, we're very good at math. So the minute we see a number, that's a nothing. Never do that. Keep the numbers right to the end and present the numbers as this is the initial business case, but we think with your support, we can actually pivot to that. Right? Try to leave somewhere with no reasonable conformity. Don't end it there. Leave it. Don't go in your first meeting letting the guy believe you are there for his money. Let him believe you are there to gauge his interest. Declare it. Say, I'm actually not here to raise funds. I'm just here to get your feedback. Okay. So try and create a script that is a little bit more sophisticated. We humans are like this, right? If I asked you your name, you will tell me your name if you feel like it, okay? But if I never asked you your name and I kept telling you about this, that, whatsoever, I wasted your time and my time. Most startup entrepreneurs come and give everybody the same script. Why? Because all of you go to the same incubators, and those incubators teach you the same things. And I'm this one revolutionary guy who keeps teaching people other things. But as an investor, I'm telling you, if you came to me and you did the standard thing of, this is what my idea is, this is the addressable market. I never do that, by the way. You know what people come in and say, the addressable market is £4 billion. You just set the expectation super high. And then when you show your cash flow, you're showing £20,000 first year. Second year, I'll hit close to around £40,000. He's saying £4 billion. So don't do that. Try to enter the first time just to win over people. Once you win over people, you can always get their checks. Okay? Tones are not important, trust me. Of course you should be audible. I don't mean you should not be audible, but it's not important. Sorry. Keep your body posture correct. Okay? So when you're sitting, alright, don't be too relaxed. Try to be in front of the table as much as you can. Okay? This is super confident. Alright? And when you're talking, try using your hands, but at a lower level, not at a higher level, because this disturbs the eyesight, right? And always have a calming smile, not a scary smile. Don't be like that. That's like a serial killer stuff. Just ease it out, right? And don't be too fast. Some of you are a bit loud. Okay, don't be loud. Right? Try to pause. Give him a chance to interrupt so he's engaged, and let him know that. Say that I'd really like this conversation to be a bit engaging, so any time you feel that you need to butt in, do that. All right? I'd really like that. Okay. That way you would have a more engaging discussion. Don't show someone as if this is the last day of your life. It's not. If you didn't get money from him, you get from someone else. Just go there thinking that you need to learn before you get perfect at this. Getting checks has got nothing to do with your presentation. It's to do with my appetite for what I'm looking for. And sometimes it's the numbers, and sometimes it's the business, and sometimes it's you. And if it's you, you hit it. You nail it. Okay, for 3 of my startups, I have raised money for. I have done that over the phone. And I'm not speaking that with pride, because nobody over the phone knows who I am, right? But I'm just saying things that he wants to hear. And I'm giving him enough pauses for him to ride me over, as in lead the conversation. I'm letting him believe he's leading the conversation. Just like when I tell people who go to job interviews, I tell them when you enter the office, look at the office, what's there. If the person has something to do with his family, try to drop that in when you're speaking about yourself. And he said, say something about yourself. You know, I'm a very family-oriented person. I think I like to know the fact that I always look after my parents and all of that. Okay, you have to, because you want to connect with this guy. Okay, the guy had a sports trophy. Okay, tell me something about yourself. I think life is just like a big game, right? You need to play well, and if you win, you've done it. So now he gets you. Right? The guy has none of this. He has none of this. What do? You need to play on something. You need to get his attention. So any other person, whether it's an interviewer for a job or an investor that will invest, try to get his attention. Don't show him this. I'll tell you one famous thing that I did. Many, many years ago, I went, when I was working for an ad agency, I went in Kuwait to get funding for our new anti-drugs campaign. So I went to the minister, and he had so many generals sitting across the table, and I had these slides, lots of slides. I'm getting late, but I better tell you this. And they started looking at their phones. So I was standing like that, I was presenting, and I could see them. I immediately stopped. I said, can I have a calculator? I said, yeah. So I took the calculator and said, Your Excellency, how many registered drug users we have in the country? He asked one of his assistants. He says 10,000, so I put 10,000. I said, okay, so if we want to target with our advertising campaign, are we targeting these people? He said, no, we're targeting people who will get influenced by the drug user. I said, okay, so how many people do you think each drug user will influence? I said, they were thinking, I just told them, let's assume 10 in a year. Right? I said, yeah, that's a small one. So I multiplied it by 10. I said, that's 100,000? I said, yeah. I said, now how much do you want to invest in a year to keep 100,000 people away from drugs? So everybody's like discussing ideas. So someone said 100 KD, someone said 50 KD. I said, no, let's just do 10 KD. He said, yeah, that's a good number. Small, right? Everybody was saying 150. I said 10 KD. I multiplied it. I said, is that 1 million KD? So immediately the minister goes like, yeah, but that's a lot of money for us to fund. I said, Your Excellency, just give me half of that money, and the rest, just sign up for me documents that say you are a chairman of anti-drugs committee, and I'll go get it from other companies as sponsorship. I come back to my office, and my chairman and my general manager are waiting eagerly. We're an ad agency, like we live on advertising project. Did you get it at that? I said yes and no. He said, tell me the no first. I said, they didn't give us what we wanted. I said, okay. So what's the yes? He said, I signed it. I said, okay, so how much did you sign? Now before I tell him this, let me tell you the background story. I had 72 slides. On slide 70, I had my budget. You know how much money I needed from them? 10,000 KD. I walked out with 1 million KD. My chairman sat on the seat. The CEO thought, couldn't think actually. He didn't speak for quite a number of minutes. The point I'm making is, when you're on stage, be the show. Don't let the investor or the interviewer be the show. Take control. Everything is in your hands. Everything is in your hands. Play it and play it well. Design your scripts, just like I said in the middle of my conversation. What is the most important thing while robbing a bank? Think about that scenario, about what is the most important thing to an investor from a startup entrepreneur. We'll get to answer. Yeah, one last one.
Do you consider this as a capital? List as funds?
No, that was an ad agency, so I was raising funds for, not for an investment, it was an advertising agency budget. So it was amazing capital. It was amazing capital. I got a huge bonus, I got promoted. I was Julius Caesar actually for a while. Yeah, it was nice. It's always nice at a young age to be appreciated for good success. But I think at a very young age I figured that you can play anybody. You literally can play anybody. You just need to find how. And I'm not asking you to con anyone. Okay? Play it because you need to achieve something. But play it right. Yeah.
How you got yourself in this line of profession as a consultant?
Total mistake. I'm not kidding. I have nothing to do with investment. I have nothing to do with construction, and I have run a construction business. I have nothing to do with F&B, and I've run a food business. I have nothing to do with mobile retail, and I have run a mobile retail business. I have zero knowledge, education-wise, of technology, and I have been head of a Wi-Fi company, head of internet service provider. How? Don't ask me. It's too long. It's too long. It's just that I'm very good. I think I'm very good at convincing anyone at anything. In fact, I always challenge people to say, and I'll ask you this: if I was walking the street and out of nowhere a big male African lion jumped in front of me, who do you think would have the problem? Me or the lion? The lion. He has to get away from me because I will convince him too. This is the way I think. Okay? You have to think like this. If you think to enter Rome like a Roman, you will get lost. But be like me. Enter Rome like Julius Caesar. Every Roman will see you. You're all special. None of you are normal. Everybody's special. You just need a lifetime to find how unique you are. Today is a good time to do that. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Could I have a picture with all of you guys?